You thought you were different, not just another option, not just someone temporary. You believed what you had was real. The way they talked to you, the way they looked at you, the way they made you feel. It felt special. It felt like something deeper. And maybe, for a moment, it was. But then something changed. They became distant, less present, less invested, until one day you realized something you didn't want to admit. They didn't lose you. They replaced you. And that realization hits differently, because it's not just about losing someone. It's about realizing you were never as irreplaceable as you thought. This is where the pain really begins. Not when they leave, but when you start questioning everything. Was it ever real? Did I mean anything? Was I just an option the whole time? You replay the memories, the conversations, the moments that felt genuine, trying to find the point where it changed, trying to understand what you did wrong. But the truth is, you're asking the wrong question. Because the problem is not that you weren't enough, it's that you believed being enough would make you irreplaceable. And that's where most people get it wrong. They think, if I care more, they'll stay. If I give more, they'll value me. If I become important enough, they won't leave. But reality doesn't work like that. People don't stay because you give everything. They stay because they choose to. And choice can change. Look back at what really happened. You made them a priority. You gave attention, time, energy. You were available, consistent, present. And slowly, without realizing it, you started investing more than they were. You started caring more than they did. And that created something dangerous, imbalance. Because in any relationship, the one who cares more holds less power. This is the part that hurts to accept. You didn't lose them suddenly. You lost balance gradually. You gave more, hoping they would match it. You stayed, hoping they would choose you. You waited, hoping they would become consistent. But they didn't have to, because they already had your attention, your presence, your effort, without needing to commit. And once something is guaranteed, it stops being valued the same way. This isn't about blaming them. It's about understanding the dynamic. Human nature values what feels uncertain, what feels earned, what feels like it could be lost. But when you give everything freely, without boundaries, without hesitation, you remove that tension. And without tension, there is no urgency to choose. This is something most people don't realize until it's too late. They confuse emotional intensity with connection. They confuse attention with commitment. They confuse presence with value. But these are not the same. Someone can give you attention without choosing you. Someone can spend time with you without valuing you. Someone can make you feel special without seeing you as irreplaceable. And when they leave, you're left with the illusion breaking, not just of them, but of the role you thought you had in their life. That's why it hurts so much, because it's not just rejection, it's the collapse of a belief, the belief that you were different. But here's where the shift happens. And it's not comfortable. Being replaceable is not your weakness. Believing you aren't is. Because the moment you believe someone can't replace you, you stop seeing reality clearly. You stop protecting your value. You stop maintaining balance. You start giving without limits. And that's when you lose control. There's a different way to see this, not as a loss, but as clarity. You weren't replaced because you lacked value. You were replaced because they didn't choose to value you. And that is something you cannot control. No matter how much you give, no matter how much you care, no matter how much you try. This is where most people stay stuck. They try to prove themselves again. They try to win the person back. They try to show that they are worth choosing. But that's the trap. Because the more you try to prove your value, the less it is perceived. Real value doesn't chase recognition. It doesn't beg to be seen. It doesn't compete for attention. It stands. And it walks away when it's not respected. That's the part most people struggle with. Walking away. Not because you don't care, but because you finally understand something deeper. That your value is not determined by someone's ability to see it. That your worth is not proven by someone's decision to stay. That being chosen is not something you earn by overgiving. It's something that happens when both sides are aligned. And if they weren't aligned, no amount of effort could fix that. No amount of patience could change that. No amount of love could force that. So instead of asking, why did they replace me? Ask something more important. Why did I stay where I wasn't fully chosen? That question changes everything. Because now the focus is back on you. Not on what they did, but on what you accepted. Once you see that, you start to move differently. You stop over-investing early. You stop giving unlimited access. You stop attaching your value to someone else's attention. You become more aware, more selective, more grounded. And ironically, that's what makes you harder to replace. Not because you try to be, but because you no longer give yourself away so easily. At the end of the day, there is a truth most people avoid. You were never irreplaceable, and neither is anyone else. But that's not a weakness. That's reality. Because once you accept it, you stop chasing validation. You stop losing yourself trying to be chosen. You stop building your value around someone else's decision. And that's where real power begins. Not in being special to someone else, but in no longer needing to be. Because the strongest position you can be in is not being irreplaceable. It's being completely okay, even if you are.